Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of the Sprocket Formula. I'm your host, Dagnis, with co-host Duxk and Stringdude. Before we go ahead and get started, I just have a few announcements. We now have a website, TheSprocketFormula.com, and we're also on Twitter, so feel free to find us there and follow us. We will also be posting articles that we may make references to, and also there are downloads to our podcasts on the site, so feel free to check it out a couple times a week. We'll be updating it semi-regularly. So let's get started. We're going to be talking about builds today. Duxk, what do you got for us?
Well, I've got my Pistolero build, or what I like to call my Pistol Commando build. It's strictly a very structured PvP build. It's built around the pistol and shield combination, highly mobile build that focuses on inflicting as much condition damage against your opponents as possible. I've taken a lot of the condition talents that increase the condition damage. I haven't gotten a look at runes yet. The reason I haven't looked at runes yet is because I have no idea how the additive structures is, because as you know, runes in the game are sometimes 6 to a set, and there's a bonus to having all 6. I need to run the numbers myself to figure out if running 2 sets of 3 is better than running 1 set of 6 to increase the condition damage, but I will have that updated shortly. But the main strengths of the build is definitely catching an opponent off guard with a lot of condition damage. The only problem that you're going to face is people who go to very heavy defensive builds that can cleanse condition, or even other engineers who can convert the conditions into boons. But I think it's going to be a very respectable structured PvP build that doesn't rely heavily on turrets.
So what type of combat situation would this be best employed in? Would it be more of a close range, obstacle, heavy scenario, like say in the Watchtower or Battle of Kylo, or maybe in the streets, or would it be more of just an open area, like maybe more world versus world, or just, a big area?
This definitely lends itself to a very close combat type of situation. I want to be in and out as fast as possible, apply my debuffs as fast as possible, as close as possible, to just take advantage of it. Really, I don't really think it's gonna act the same way in World vs. World, but I'd rather almost switch to a second pistol in World vs. World and forego the shield mastery talents that I have for something else, which I'll probably end up doing a variation of this build later on that employs a dual pistol that's more geared toward World versus World and kind of being more at range, kind of being the range debuffer rather than the close range debuffer.
Sounds pretty cool. What do you got for us, Stringdude?
I just had a question about the build. Are you going to be using a lot of like bombs and grenades and stuff?
Actually, it really depends on what I feel like using. Right now, I like using Slick Shoes for the tool belt skill running at double speed, because it allows me to either get in really fast and close the distance, or get out if I need to. I also like utility goggles because of the tool belt skill, once again, applying vulnerability, but I also have the talent that critical hits apply vulnerability. It's just being able to make my targets as soft as possible, as quick as possible.
So why is it that you didn't go more into explosives? Because I noticed whenever you get 25 into explosives, your explosions cause vulnerability.
Well, explosions inherently take a while to build up, and I kind of don't want to have to switch kits to apply vulnerability, because I don't want to have to go through that split second of having to change to a mine kit and placing a mine, or a bomb kit, in which case I think bomb and mine are the worst, because I'd have to wait till somebody get near them to activate them. And grenade kits I do like a lot. It's like one of my favorite kits, but I don't want to be switching kits that often.
Your Elixir X. I personally am a kind of neutral fan of it. What are you hoping for a particular form, or are you just going to use it whenever you're in dire need?
Basically, it's kind of like one of those things. I like Elixir X because it allows me to be highly mobile. When I need it, and I just pop it, because it's a massive DPS cooldown. Just use it and go to town if I need to. But I'm pretty familiar with all 3 forms, so it's not so bad. Maybe I'd like supply drop if I want that added stun, or if I'm in a very large team fight. But I'm definitely going to be sticking to Elixir X more. Of course, I forego the group utility, but I kind of just like it because it makes me look cool sometimes with the Death Shroud.
I had a question. So, like, if you're doing like Battle versus Kylo or whatever, and you have a group that's in a control point, would you like pop an Elixir X, kind of like how an elementalist would pop a tornado and just throw people out of there?
No, see, what I would do is I would run into the point, like let's say the clock tower. I'd be running up the clock tower. I'd run in there, debuff as many people as I can, and after I sufficiently feel satisfied that I debuff as many people, then I would pop Elixir X. Because then what you have there is you have people who are bleeding, poisoned, possibly blinded, have already missed their first attack, and then I pop a major cooldown. So I'm basically like having massive damage on a group of people like that. I'm not gonna run in with it and then have to debuff people. I'd rather have to apply my conditions first and then use it. Enough about my build. Let's talk about the build that you created this week, Stringdude.
What's its role in the battlefield?
Mostly a controller. I focus on my arcane skills. That's why, like on my air magic, I have arcane lightning so that I have 3% more critical damage for each arcane utility equipped. That's why I have all the utilities arcane. So I really optimize that. Also, I have the Tornado Elite skill, so that in case an enemy is trying to take over a control point, I can turn into a tornado and throw them all out. So that's really going to give optimal time for my teammates to get there and help me out with that.
So you say your job is not necessarily to kill them, but simply prevent them from taking that control point as long as possible till support comes along?
Yes and no. I mean, of course, my objective is going to be in the control point, stay in there as long as I can. If I kill someone, great. But I really don't want to focus on running around killing people. I want to focus on getting the control point, getting the most points I can for my team.
I also noticed you go a lot faster with air attunement. The longer you are in air attunement, you end up going faster. And then also you have double daggers, the bonus that increases your speed when you're wielding daggers. So you're going to be flying across the battlefield, aren't you?
Yeah, hopefully. I know with air magic, since I have the elemental attunement for my arcane power, it would actually gain swiftness to my teammates as well. So I'll actually be able to fly my teammates wherever they need to go.
That's actually a really cool build. I really like it a lot, especially just because you kind of took movement speed and said, I want to make it like my one and only priority for me and my teammates. I want to fly around the map. And I think that's going to be very important. And I really like your build, and I can't actually wait to test it out myself next time we have a beta weekend or a stress test event.
All right, if there's no more questions about my build, last but not least, let's move on to Dagnis. Let's talk about yours.
It's a PvE build meant for questing alone or in a group. It can go either way. It's very turret heavy. It uses 4 turrets. It uses the healing turret, rifle, rocket, and net turret, and along with the supply crate bonus. It uses a rifle, and its main priority is to use turrets and also to kite.
Do you really like using a net turret along with having the net shot on your rifle?
Oh yeah, I find that it really helps me get a little bit farther away from my enemy, because although I do decrease the cooldowns by 20% on the rifle, that makes the net shot only 8-second cooldown. That still can sometimes not be enough. And let's face it, sometimes we're all human, we all accidentally dodge one time too many. And even with using utility skills to get back endurance, you may not be able to get that dodge that you really need in. So you can pop that net shot at the last second in hopes of keeping that enemy away from you. That way, the main priority is to keep him away from you, to constantly be being healed by the healing turret, which in turn also gives you more power. That's kind of the secret to the build, is not only is it turret heavy with the turrets attacking, but also by having those turrets, they make you more powerful. Well, mostly the healing turret.
Alright, so you're basically making yourself kind of like a mobile tower when you have all of your turrets out. Very strong, like offensive point that has a lot of high defenses as well.
Exactly, and it's getting constantly healed. I have a trait that doubles the healing that you take from the healing turret, or that it dishes out, so it helps everybody. And then also I have a trait that turns 20% of the healing into power, which can increase it a lot, especially since it's healing double, so you're effectively getting a 40% damage bonus from what you're getting healed, which can make a world of a difference. And you're also getting healed 160% constantly. You're basically, you can afford to mess up, but you can also have plenty of ways to stop the enemy, and you have your turrets to help you out all the way.
Recently, I read your article on our website about turrets. I'm really happy that you wrote about it and then kind of informed everyone out there all about our turrets, and I'm glad I helped you take that screenshot of all the turrets. If I can do a shameless self-plug for my 2 little turrets that I put in the screenshot. What other things that weren't covered in the article did you want to say about turrets?
I feel like I did a pretty good job on it. I covered all the traits, even some that weren't necessarily directly effective with turrets. But one thing, if I were to add anything, were to be that there's probably going to be one major change, and that's that turrets probably won't auto-attack on the final build of Guild Wars 2. I'd be shocked if they kept that. And then also, you cannot detonate or overcharge the healing turret or any of the other turrets that come along with the supply crate. I was thinking maybe I'd go back and edit that. But that's pretty much all I would add, and I gotta say, it's actually getting places. It ended up going on Guild Wars Mag, and also our friends over at Guild Wars 2 World vs. World made it as a permanent guide in the guide section. So,
now, I had a question about the build. How is it, kind of looking foresight, do you think you're going to be using this build whenever we go on like raiding and stuff like that?
When we go and do dungeons, yes, this will definitely be my first choice. I might change it a little bit, largely because the rifle is a horrible choice on bosses. I might switch the pistols and maybe change rifle mods to rifled barrels, so that way I not only get that advantage of the rifle range when I want to go and use the rifle, maybe once we split up afterwards, and that way I don't have to go and buy a respec, and then also that would affect pistols as well, so it would be kind of cross, so it would work out pretty well if that was changed out. Also in the description I mentioned a few more possible changes of what could be done. That's pretty much all we have time for today as far as builds are concerned. You'll be able to find our builds all on the website with a short description about them. Also, what we plan on doing is in the next beta event weekend, we plan on throwing our own little event at the end on Sunday around 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. We haven't decided on exact time. If you have any suggestions as far as what we should go and do, and you're more than welcome to attend, you can find us in the Embry-based server with our respective names. Please post them in the comments. I only have a couple ideas, and that's to all of us go get drunk in a city or go and attack Zombie Island. But hey, if you have any other suggestions, feel free to give them.
Also, don't forget you can find us on Twitter, username @SprocketFormula. Feel free to post criticisms, comments, what you'd actually like to see more of in our podcast. So that would be actually great criticism for us.
And last but not least, we'd like to see your builds, so please go to gw2builds.org, create an account, post your builds, write a kind of a paragraph describing what it does, and post it on our comments, and we might try it out the next beta event or even get featured here on the next podcast.
See you on the next podcast, and don't forget to pick up your turrets.